All right. Welcome back. I think this is week 11 of the podcast, and I will be joined by nobody. It's just me riding solo for the weekend. I will break down some of the matchups by myself, so you only get my opinion this week. So if you usually don't like my opinion, too bad. That's what we're going with. So um, let's just get right into last week, and we will get into this week's matchups. Take a look at the standings and what I would think Bryson would kind of do with maybe some stats. You can see that Wes is an amazing 9-1. I haven't done all the math, but I would think if he wins this week, he's locked himself into a playoff, but he's still pushing for that first round bye, followed by CT at 7-3 with the most points in the league, right behind Wes, who again I said his team was going to be garbage, and he has the second most points in the league. CT still well ahead of him, at least 150 points ahead, which is remarkable. Every week he has the highest projected totals, so he's in second, followed by a cluster of four teams at 6-4, and then Bryson at 5-5. And looking at an outside shot, I would think RO would have to win out these next four games to be 7-6-1 to really even have a shot, but I think that's a long shot. And then Taylor, Scales, and Shmee, not Shmee, sorry, no disrespect. I can't believe I mixed up Shmee and Mays. Taylor, Scales, and Mays are really looking at an outside shot. The only thing that Taylor has is points going for him. He has the third most points in the league and is not really winning games, getting very unlucky because he has the second most points against. Um, and he has a 3-7 record. Port Nels is kind of playing the spoiler role. That used to be Wes's team name, but now Wes is at top of the standings. So Nels is going to try and play spoiler. He already didn't play Christian Watson, which maybe would have gotten him some points this week, but um, that's kind of how the standings go. It looks like all the 6-4 teams and 5-5 team, Bryson have a good shot at making the playoffs. The rest is going to be a huge uphill climb, but we still got a lot to play for. 4 weeks remaining. And with that, I guess we can look at last week's matchups. Were any of them crazy? Yeah, we had a tie. I don't know if everyone remembers the crazy trying to not trying to set their lineups last year to both make the playoffs, and they ended up not tying. Well, now these two teams played this week and they tied 107-107. They would have beat almost every other team except for it looks like Wes and CT. So just very unlucky that they both had really great weeks and had to go with 107 each. I got insanely lucky. I'm sure that's in Bryson's stats of how lucky this win was. I only would have beaten two teams. Yeah, 74-57, and I ended up playing one of them. So got very lucky, put me at 6-4. Didn't really help me in the points category, but got a very lucky win. And so I'm very grateful for that. All right, let's get into the matchups. And as always, we will go with first place, and we have Wes versus Jack. So Wes has kind of been playing the quarterback carousel, the entire season. This week it kind of paid off. Aaron Rodgers had a pretty decent game with finding Watson 2 passing touchdowns and some yards and a 2-point conversion to start him off with 23 points. He's got Ayuk and McLaurin. McLaurin going against a pretty bad Houston defense. Ayuk going against a pretty bad Arizona defense, and it seems like Garoppolo has been finding Ayuk a lot more, or at least been targeting him a lot more than his counterpart Deebo Samuel. He's got Jacobs with kind of a tough matchup against Denver. Connor had a good week last week, but that San Francisco front is going to be tough to score against. So he's got some tougher matchups in his running backs, but he's got Kelsey against LAC. I think that's going to be a shootout, so Kelsey should have a big game. I think, did he have a big game with them last? No, last time they held him to only 5 points, his lowest of the season. So um, you would have thought he'd gone off that week, but you can see last time they played LAC, his lowest totals. Wes is not hoping for that performance. And then Miles Sanders against that Indy front. His running backs don't have the greatest matchups, but he's got three, starters. So that's always good to have. And then the San Fran defense against Colt McCoy, who I think is going to start. So that's a great matchup there. Um, you know, Jack doesn't have the greatest running backs. Gibson against Houston is if you're going to have a running back, that's the matchup you want. Houston's defense is worst in the NFL, and he got 11 points last time, 14 carries. So I think Jack is hoping for that, and then he's going to be all about that Detroit run game in Atlanta. Not Detroit, dang it, that Chicago run game at Atlanta. He's going to have Fields, who he hopes goes off, and he's going to have Montgomery as well. He's got Pollard against Minnesota. That's a pretty good matchup. And he still needs to play a defense. So I feel like if Fields can have his way with Atlanta of running and passing like he's been doing the last couple weeks, I think he's got a great shot at winning because Wes has some tougher matchups with his running backs. And so with that, I think I can't go against Wes. I can't. Every time I do, he wins. So I think I'm going to pick Wes in this one, just because he's gotten off to a pretty good start. But I do like Jack's matchups of Fields and Montgomery against Atlanta, and he still has to play defense. But he's already kind of in a hole. But if Fields has a huge game, he could easily cover that up. With Zeke playing too, I think that's going to limit Pollard a little bit. So he's been having some amazing games, but I think I think with Zeke coming back, that's going to hurt him. So I'm going to go Wes in this matchup. Probably a really high scoring matchup. Probably 110 to 105, something like that. So congrats, Wes, on your victory. Next matchup, let's go. Second place is CT versus Bryson. These are usually my co-hosts, but they are busy with prior appointments. So breaking this one down, we have Mahomes against the Chargers. Last time he played the Chargers, I think he only had 21 points. So last time LAC was really able to limit Mahomes, but we'll see how it goes this Sunday night. He's got a wide receiver one in St. Brown against the Giants. We'll see how Goff does at New York. He usually does not play very well on the road. Looks like CT has put in DPJ now that he's playing in a dome. I hope he doesn't go off because I would like Brissett to throw to Amari Cooper, but he's kind of been his guy when they've been on the road. So, um, modest numbers, 9, 8 last couple of weeks. So we'll see if Brissett keeps throwing to him. He's always got his three-headed monster, but now he traded one away. He traded away Barkley. So now he's got McCaffrey with a great matchup against Arizona, with McCaffrey both in the passing game and running game against Arizona. And he's got Hopkins. So he's really going to be involved in Monday night, and it could come down to Monday night and how these two perform. I don't know if he's going to have Kyler Murray. It looks like Hopkins is practicing, so that's great news for CT. I still think even with Colt McCoy, he's good for double-digit points. So CT is already off to a great start with Derrick Henry, not only rushing for a touchdown, but doing the famous jump throw and passing for a touchdown. The man can do it all. So CT is off to a great start. On the other side, we have Dak, who Dallas hasn't been playing great. They blew the game against Green Bay. They should have had that game, but Dak didn't play particularly well. Um, 24 points is pretty respectable. 29 points since he's kind of been back from injury. So hopefully they're in a shootout with Minnesota and Bryson can get a ton of points. He's just got CT's got him on a great week because he's got Waddle and Metcalf both on a bye. This is a great pickup in White. He could be a running back that Bryson desperately needs. He's been playing Dillon and Algier for weeks now. Zeke is a starter, but I just don't think he has the explosiveness like he used to. So Bryson's really hurting, and this is just a bad week, to be Bryson's team because he lost Goddard, who had been getting a ton of catches from Hurts. And then he's got a couple really good guys on bye, Tua, and so I think with the start and even before the start, I think Bryson was in a tough spot, and I'm going to pick CT to win this matchup handily. But I know Bryson will do everything he can to fight, and hopefully his team does as well. All right, third, we got Shmee versus Shmee. When I messed up earlier, I accidentally called Maze's team Shmee, but we have Shmee versus Maze, and now that Josh Allen is not going to be in, um, Snowmageddon, I think that tremendously helps Shmee's value. Otherwise, he would probably have to think about playing another quarterback if they're going to play through that blizzard. But looks like he'll have Allen. He's got Boyd, Slayton against a really bad Detroit defense, and really I think Daniel Jones has really been targeting Slayton his last couple games. He hasn't been having much targets, but when the Giants do throw, they've been throwing to Slayton. They don't throw very much, but not a bad pickup receiver. He's got Eckler against Kansas City. Let's see what they did last time. Kansas City kind of held him in check, but I think Shmee is hoping for a turnaround. Same with the weather with Njoku going to Detroit to play in a dome instead of in that blizzard. That really helps his value. Pacheco seems to be the starter. CEH has completely fallen off. I wasted way too much money on him in the auction. I was really hoping someone else would take him, but I had the last bid. So Dallas defense has a tough matchup. They were incredible at the beginning of the season, and I was dead wrong on how bad they would be. But the last couple games, they've given up 29 points and 31 points, and now they face another formidable offense. So um, Dallas D may be in some trouble this week, but he's playing against the Woat. He's got Goff against the Giants. Giants have a pretty good defense at home. Devontae Smith, I don't know if he's going to play. It looks like he was limited. Still, he's kind of taken a backseat to A.J. Brown and Goddard. Now that Goddard's out, Devontae Smith could get some more receptions, but he's not really been targeted that much. Darnell Mooney, I feel like Fields has resurged, but Mooney just hasn't really benefited from that. His last week, he only got 5 points, but a touchdown the week before. Not really a true wide receiver too. Swift and Taylor. Taylor finally came alive last week, but he's playing against a really good Philly front. So Jonathan Taylor may not reach that 11 points. I'm not sure. He had a great game last week, but has kind of been MIA against that really bad Indy line. Maybe Jeff Saturday can turn around that Indy line, but against the front of Philly, that's going to be really tough for Jonathan Taylor. Kittle's got a great matchup. Michael Gallup has been off and on, not getting very many points, not even hitting double digits this season. So not getting much out of his flex. I think this one the projected scores are very close, but with Allen and Eckler, and even Njoku is one of the better tight ends. I think it's easily going to go Shmee's way. I don't think it's going to be this close, and I'm projecting something like 95 to 80. So I have Shmee in this matchup. All right. Fourth is me versus Taylor. I kind of caught Taylor on a good week. He doesn't have, the one of the best pickups of the year, and Kenneth Walker. He's got Jamar Chase out, and he's got Fournette on a bye, so he still has to put in a flex player. With all that said, he's still probably projected to beat me, but I think it's going to be a pretty close matchup. I really hope I was talking last matchup that I really hope the Dallas defense comes to play because I'm playing against, Jefferson and Cousins. He could have that double up. I have a sneaking suspicion that Jefferson is just going to go off against the Dallas secondary. They've been kind of porous with, you saw what Watson did to them in Green Bay, last week. So if one guy who's been not very great over the last couple of weeks can destroy him, I mean, think what Justin Jefferson's about to do. So that's really his biggest chance. I think Ramondre Stevenson is his good running back now that Swift is playing. Williams is going to be, he's going to get some carries, but not a ton. Detroit likes to kind of run the ball a lot with Swift and Williams. So if he can get in the end zone, that's really going to help. But with Swift coming back, Williams is going to kind of take a back seat, and Claypool is still getting used to that Chicago offense, although he does have a good matchup with Atlanta. So if you're going to play him, he at least has a pretty good matchup. So it's really going to come down to Cousins and Jefferson for Taylor. If Minnesota doesn't have a good game, I don't really see who else he's going to have to put up some points. I don't have the best lineup either. DJ Moore has been pretty off and on. He's got Baker throwing to him, which you would think would be an upgrade, but when Baker was playing earlier in the season, he didn't have much. I get Chubb going to Detroit to play that game, which is great. Otherwise, I think that would have been a tough matchup. Mixon against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has TJ Watt back, so that front is looking a little bit better. Hopefully, he can put up another 54 spot like he did before his bye, but we'll see. Cooper's road stats have been terrible, and he's on the road again. Technically, it's a neutral site, but I'm really hoping that in the dome, with everybody flying, that Brissett can find him in what should be a shootout. So I'm hoping Cooper can surpass that 7 points, because if you just look at it straight across, Taylor's got 18 out of his wide receiver one projected, and I only got 7. So pretty weak at receiver, but I got Chubb and Mixon. Hopefully they can score multiple touchdowns. I still have yet to know who I'm going to put in my flex. I have Kmet in there right now because he has 5 touchdowns the last 3 games. But if Gus is healthy, I could play him against Carolina. Could play Pickens. So still haven't chosen who I'm going to play at flex. But I really just hope it really comes down to Cousins and Jefferson. If they don't have good games, I think Hurts and company, my team will have enough to win. So it may be like last week where I win, 80 to 75. So I'm gonna pick. I guess I'm gonna pick myself, which is always dangerous. I just caught Taylor on a good week, and I think Dallas will bounce back with a great game. But I could see that being a shootout. I hope not, but we'll see. So good luck, Taylor. But low scoring matchup between us. And let's see. I think we already did Jack in that one. Now we got CB versus RO. RO really needs to win this to stay alive, and unfortunately for RO, he is bitten by the bye and the injury bug. Cooper Kupp placed on IR. See ya. He's got Mostert and Lockett, who have been pretty good for him on buys. He lost Zach Ertz. I mean, his team is just kind of falling apart at the wrong time. I didn't see this at Lamar's questionable. He wasn't spotted at the media portion, so this could just be some media hype that he might not play, but hopefully he plays for RO, because that he's desperately going to need him and DA to go off. He's playing Dotson, which is a pretty good matchup against Houston. Dotson's coming back from injury. Cook versus Dallas's front is not a really good matchup with Parsons and LEV and those linebackers in that front. That's going to be a tough matchup. Gordon really hasn't done a whole lot for Denver now that they're kind of going by committee. 7 attempts for 24 yards is not great. He had to pick up Henry because he lost Zach Ertz, who had been one of the better tight ends in the league. So I don't think Henry's been targeted that much. 4 targets last week, not last time they played, not bad. Hopefully he can get in the end zone, but it's going to be tough against Burrow and Higgins. CB's got the double up there. If he finds Higgins, that could be double trouble. He got 8 from Aaron Jones, so RO kind of got a little lucky that Aaron Jones didn't have a big game, but Singletary could have a big game against Cleveland if Buffalo's up quite a bit. He's also got Hurts, so CB is all in on the Bengals. He's going to be very tuned into those Bengals. Kenyon Drake as his flex. I really hope Gus comes back and takes snaps away from Drake, but let's see. He's got Olave. I think this could actually be a closer matchup than you think, but RO's just missing so many people. If he had him, I think RO would win easy, but I think Pittsburgh had their Cincinnati's number last time they played, but that was the very first week of the season. So yeah, he threw 4 interceptions. He's only thrown two since. Um, excuse me. I'm gonna go CB in this one and put the nail in RO's season, but um, I can see this one being really close if RO picks up plays a good flex person. But I think with Cincinnati and Burrow liking to hit these guys and CB doubling up from that, I think that's going to be huge, and CB wins this matchup. And last but not least, both kind of out of contention, but we can't not talk about them because they could play spoiler down the road. Nels for Scales. CeeDee Lamb finally had his game last week, but it didn't get Nels the victory. It just resulted in a tie. So too bad. Sorry, Nels. But we've kind of been talking about Nels's team. It's just doesn't have the players now that Cup is out. Maybe Allen Robinson can step up. He's got Derek Carr at Denver. Not a very good matchup. Well, on the other side, that Scales does with Garoppolo and Debo. He's got that double up. Garoppolo really hasn't been targeting Debo, but they get Samuel involved in many other ways. Hopefully, Kamara bounces back. I got really lucky last week playing against Scales. Kamara didn't really have anything, but he just traded for Barkley, which is probably the best matchup against that Detroit defense. So Barkley and Kamara most likely going to have really good games. Patterson was nowhere to be found, but Chicago, I don't know how their defense is, but we'll see. He's got three pretty good running backs, while Nelson only really kind of has one. Even though Robinson found the end zone last week, he had a really good game. I didn't watch that Monday night game, but 26 carries is quite a bit. So Nelson's got 1.5 good running backs. I don't think James Robinson's going to do much. He's got 3 Robinsons on his Swiss Robinson family on his team. So this one I'm going to have to go Scales just because he has the better running backs, and I think he has the better QB matchup and has a double up with Debo. So I think that's going to be all the matchups. It's been a heck of a season. There's only 4 weeks left, so and everyone good luck. That's it. Bye-bye.